Welcome to our session, Supporting Dual Language Learners Right from the Start. I'm Maggie Deaton from the Rollins Center for Language and Literacy, and you're in the right place if you're excited to learn about dual language learners, children developing in 2 or more languages. This session has the same title as our course on Cox Campus, our first course specifically for dual language learners. And we're really tailoring this time to children about 3 or 4 years old, 3 to 5, preschool and pre-K. But if you're here and you serve younger, a little bit older children, we hope you'll be able to make connections too. So again, I am Maggie, and I am the lead dual language learner facilitator here at the Rollins Center. And I have my amazing colleague, Diana, and we're going to just take a moment to introduce ourselves and dive right in.
Thank you, Maggie. Hello, everyone. I'm so honored and so happy to be here today. As Maggie mentioned, I am Diana Bacon. I am working as a bilingual facilitator at Rollins Center. Thank you. I am from Bogota, Colombia, and I work as a teacher for about 17 years, and this is my 4th year at Rollins, so it's almost 20 years working in education. I feel passionate about education because I convinced that we can impact and transform children and families' lives. And, having the opportunity to work in 2 different places in Colombia and in here is helping me to grow as a person, as an educator. And I feel so thankful for that.
Thank you, Diana. And I'll just add that, we're excited for being here, learning from you all. This is a session where we're going to share, but we really are going to try to create some interaction and hear from you, hear your questions, hear your experiences. And that is what we do best when we learn from one another as teachers, as family members. And that's how we help kids grow. And so my background is working with children who are mostly dual language learners. And now I've been at the Rollins Center for 8 or so years. So we're going to go ahead and jump into a little bit about what the Cox Campus is. Maybe you're really familiar and maybe you're not. And before we do that, we just want to know more about you. So what state do you live in, and how confident do you feel in your current knowledge and practice about dual language learners specifically? So children developing in 2 or more languages, learning and growing in those 2 languages. So if you can take a minute, we're going to be quiet and just drop in the chat the answer to the 2 questions you see on the screen. So we saw a lot of states where people were from as you joined: Arizona, North Carolina, Georgia, Ohio, Germany, someone from South Africa working with kindergartners in the UAE, very awesome, from Virginia. And people are sharing, thank you for being transparent, that maybe you feel a little bit confident, not very, but hoping to learn more today. Coming as a person who's bilingual, who is identifying with dual language learners, coming from as far as New York, as close as Peachtree Corners, Georgia. So wherever you are geographically, we're glad you're here with us in this virtual community space. And no matter how confident you feel, we're excited to just build on the many strengths that you have. And we hope you can make some connections today and leave encouraged with a few ideas, but also empowered to find out a lot more through the Cox Campus. So feel free to continue dropping. Ruthie, thank you for being here from Clarkson, my hometown. Awesome librarian here. So thank you for friends we've met in person and friends that we're meeting today. So we're going to go on to the next slide and jump in about the Cox Campus. So our online, free, accessible anytime platform, coxcampus.org. These are some of the core values for the Cox Campus: that it's rewarding, empowering, connecting, safe, and essential, that it gives you what you feel like you need to make a difference for kids. And as we look at these boxes, we also, Diana and I, want to create this space even in the next hour, that we hope this time together will be rewarding, that you will feel empowered, that we can connect, that it can be a place that you feel safe to share in the chat, to share in other ways we've created, and that it feels essential, like you used your time in a way that made a difference in your work. Najat, welcome from Atlanta. And thank you for bringing your background, and you feel very comfortable. So we're excited to hear your experience as we look forward to that. So we're going to jump in and just show you a little bit about Cox Campus. Here's the website there. So if you're not signed up as a free member, please do so today, right now. We'll drop that link in the chat. It is always free. There's content birth through 3rd grade there, content for families, content for educators, content for leaders, courses to take to get credit for, and also places to discuss and share ideas, resources. And we're going to be showing you some of those today. And so today, the learning objectives, we really just want to spend time together. One, understanding dual language learner development, the benefits of bilingualism and the role of first language, the child's first language in their development. We're going to be exploring best practices and supports for dual language learners, really focusing in on the first language and making connections between the first language and English, and also understanding the learning opportunities available through the Cox campus outside of this hour. What else do I have access to? It's a lot, and so we're going to take you through some of that. And you may come to this space having explored some of those tools, and this may be new to you. Either way, welcome. And so as we begin together, we wanted to share, you have the learning objectives there, some ways your voice matters. We want to hear it. So what are we going to do today to try to bring your voices out? We want to create as much interaction as we can. You're going to be seeing some polls. So they might come up on your screen. Please respond. That'll give us more understanding of you all. The chat box, as you're already doing, you can find that at the bottom of your screen, a little bubble, like a text bubble. Click there and drop your questions, your experiences, your additions, your wonderings. You can also, at the bottom of your screen, you see a little hand. You can raise your hand and we'll see it and we'll ask you to come off mute and you can share verbally. We'd love to hear your voice that way too. You should have a chance to even do reactions if you want to do a thumbs up or a smiley, or feel really excited about something and want to throw some confetti, you can do that. There's also going to be some links we drop called Mentimeter word clouds. We're going to be creating some visuals together. So look out for those. And we wanted to let you know from the beginning that we're going to try to save some time at the end for just general question and answers, things we don't get to, things you're wondering about dual language learners when we get to that point. So take note of that and know that Deanna and I will make space to answer as many of those as we can together. And those that we can't, we'll follow up. Deanna, I saw your little hand come up. Did you want to jump in?
I was just trying, just testing everything.
Deanna's demonstrating. When she put her hand up, her little hand came up, but like note that when you're finished, you've got to click it again to put it down, or it'll stay up.
Yes.
Yes. All right. So those are the ways we are going to, tools we're going to be using today. So let's try those out. And right now we want to just take a moment to define what we mean when we say dual language learner, because sometimes people bring different experiences having heard this term in different ways. And so Deanna and I, what we're sharing, where we come from at the Rollins Center, we use this term to mean children who are learning and developing in 2 or more languages. You might hear emergent bilingual, and this means that they're still learning their first language and adding that second language. And so here, often in our context, children have English as they're learning English in a new environment, bringing their first language to that place. So you may hear about dual language programs at schools. Like maybe, for example, if my son, whose first language is English, went to a school and was learning Mandarin, that is not the language of his family. That is not the language we speak at home, but he's learning that as a second language. That kind of program is often used a similar name, but here we're talking about children who are learning and developing in 2 or more languages. If he was in that program, he'd still be learning another language, but it's slightly different. Deanna, anything to add there on that slide?
No, I think that's
okay.
Everything. Thank you, Mike.
Great. Thank you, Deanna. So we're going to go ahead and launch our first poll. So we look forward to hearing from you here. We're just going to take a minute. A poll should come up on your screen. have you taken the Supporting Dual Language Learners course? And do you currently work with dual language learners? And we know some of you are family members. So if you have your own dual language learners at home, you can say, yes, I do work with them. And this just gives us an idea. So as we're going through the session, we kind of know what connections to make. So no matter whether you've started or not, feel free to just answer honestly.
Yes, I see people's responses on in the chat, but
Okay, so you're welcome to put it in the chat, or you should see a little poll come up and you should be able to click your responses there.
It was a while ago when I did the course through Cox Campus. Okay, yes, I've seen many responses in the chat.
And so I wanted to, at this time, to just welcome Ari, who's helping us with tech from Cox Campus, our wonderful colleague and teammate, and Laura, who's here from Cox Campus, helping us with chat and responding to questions. And so I don't know, Ari, if you're able to share the results now, that would be wonderful. Here we go. So on our screen, you should see the first question. I've started it about 10%, and many of you haven't, 78%. So that is okay. And we're excited because we hope when you leave the session, you're going to start it and you're going to be really equipped and excited to dive in and know where to navigate on the website to find many of the things we're talking about. Thank you, Ari. All right. And so we're going to go on, and Deanna's going to take it from here. Thank you, Deanna.
Thank you, Maggie. So, okay, already we know where a dual language learner is, and already we know where we are, related to the courses and everything. But now we want to hear from you about the expectations that you have for this session today. What are you hoping to learn today about how to support dual language learners? And think of anything. It can be just even like how to support my families, or how can I support a dual language learner during the morning meeting. It can be anything. And how we're going to do it. So Ari is going to drop in the chat a link. So you're going to click the link, and then you will see a Mentimeter or a word cloud generator. So you're going to type your answer, and then we're going to see what's coming up. Thank you. So if you're having any issues finding the link or clicking, or please let us know and see how we can figure it out. So what do you hope to learn about supporting dual language learners today? So I see the first responses. Okay, so I can see the cloud is getting all these answers. Okay, I can see supporting community, future, strategies, intentional planning, helping teachers, use intentional planning, classroom, how to begin the process. I think that's a wonderful one. What else? Methods.
Fun, Deanna. They hope to have fun.
Fun. Preschool children. Yeah. The thing is moving sometimes.
There's intentional planning. Certainly we have to be intentional. How are we going to support dual language learners? Literacy for dual language learners.
Family support. So what strategies or what ideas we can bring to families to support their dual language learners at home.
Wonderful. Using books that work.
Yes, awareness. So how we can, create the culture of being aware that what's going on with dual language learners, how we can support them, and why we're going to support them. Build the foundation. I think that's a great one. Just understanding the way that they develop and how we can support that development.
Yeah.
speak more than 2 languages. Sometimes we're going to have kids that at home they're exposed and learning 2 languages or more, because mom is from one country and dad from another one, and they speak different languages. And then the child is going to school learning this third language.
Mhm. And I see in the chat creating a sense of home, that children see themselves, that they feel known, that we can build relationships with them.
Yes.
Wonderful.
So, and we are hoping today to be able to cover all, like provide many wonderful strategies for you to cover all the needs that we're seeing today.
Mhm. And if you have an expectation that maybe can't be met deeply in this hour, know that these courses, more than 6 hours worth of course material, are going into these topics specific about sharing stories with dual language learners, or what does it look like in transitions? What does it look like for me to observe? So many of the things I'm seeing come up are things we're going to touch on, but also know there's a wealth of resources beyond today that we confidently say these things you're lifting up, that there are more resources to explore.
Yes. And remember, Cox Campus is also a community where you can, keep asking questions. You can reach out to us and see what else we can do to support dual language learners.
Awesome.
So now we can move. Okay. So now we want to share with you the gift video. I would like to introduce this video with you as the opening for these 2 courses that we have in Cox Campus, supporting dual language learners right from the start and connecting the dots, because we didn't come up with this idea, let's build a course just because we want it, because, we want to be nice with dual language learners. No, we thought about this because there is a good reason behind, and that reason has a science. There are studies behind that are supporting all these strategies. So that's why we want to share this with you. And after we watch the video, we're going to have another short dynamic that we are going to do. But now we're going to play the video.
You guys go ahead and find a station to play in.
Escuela, ¿oíste? Que vas a jugar en la escuela hoy.
Good morning, Diana.
Good morning, Miss Bethany. How are you?
Wonderful. Good morning, Valentina. How are you? Go ahead and put your step away, okay? How was your vacation? That's great to hear. I know she... Valentina, you don't need that right now. We're getting ready to learn. Please go put it on the shelf.
You think I don't need my gift, but I really do. Me siento perdida when you take it away.
Well, good morning, Angela. How are you?
Good.
Good. It's great to see you. Go ahead and put your backpack over there, okay? Here's an owl and a frog and a mouse.
Every morning, we bring our gift to school. The gift of our first language.
Why do you think the animals go to school at night? Zoe.
They're nocturnal. They don't go to sleep at night.
Okay. Valentina, what do you think? Valentina?
Every morning, you take our gift away. You think it will get in the way of our learning.
¿Y por qué? ¿Por qué son animales nocturnos?
Porque en la día están durmiendo y en la noche están despiertos.
When you only look at what we can't do yet in English, you miss all the things you know and can do. Why won't you let us use our first language to make sense of all the new things you teach us?
Oh, Angela, don't take your shoes off. We don't take our shoes off here.
My culture and my language go together. They're part of who I am. Learning is easier when you accept all of me.
Okay, everybody, listen up. I want you to sort your bears into small and large, okay? Valentina,
small and large. Small and large. Pequeño, small. Grande, large.
Pequeño, small, grande, large.
So today we are going to greet our friends in their own special language. And guess what? When we come inside from the playground, we're going to take our shoes off, just like Angela does when she's at home. Okay? You ready to sing? Okay, let's start. Ready? Ming la ba, Angela. Angela is our
When you use words and songs in our first language and connect them with English, our learning takes off. Our families can help, and you can remind them they help us best when they keep talking, singing, and reading with us in our first language.
Yo tengo unos animales nocturnos.
You may think our English-speaking friends know more than we do, but our bilingual brains are amazing. They think in two languages and give us the power to express ourselves on both of them. It's not confusing at all.
large familiar fingers into a fan. Next, he leaned forward and kissed the center of her hand. Now, Chester didn't want his mother to be
Worried.
That's right, worried. And in Spanish, we say preocupado.
My first language is my gift. It helps me grow and shine. I know you want that for me, for all of us, now and in the future.
Gain a bug bye. Heart of Lema. افتحوا هديتي. Abre mi regalo and watch me change the world.
Wonderful. And before, we keep going, I just would like to let you know that at home, I have two beautiful dual language learners. One is 6 and one is 10 years old. So this video is so important for me. But now I want you to take the time, and think of an emotion or a feeling, an emotion that you felt watching this video. And we are going to have the same dynamic, the word cloud. So we're going to have the link on the chat. Then we're going to click on it and we're going to type that emotion. And then we're going to see what we're going to generate. And we're going to talk about it. I feel this video, makes me feel many wonderful things. And I would like to hear from all of you. Okay, I heard you. Hopeful, empowering, sad. Yes, sometimes it's sad to see that, and there are many dual language learners everywhere. And we are gonna, as a teacher, sometimes we're assuming that they're gonna learn and they're gonna need the same that every single child. And no. And inspired, I love that one because this video is showing us that we can do things in a different way. Mm-hmm. And it doesn't mean that things that we're doing now are wrong. No, it's just because we can start doing different things. Maggie, you were going to say something?
I was just going to say, if you're looking where to add your word in the chat, Laura's dropping the link to Mentimeter. So it's a new link, different from the one before. So check it out there. And I see people also adding in the chat. Thank you.
Thank you, Maggie. I see frustrated. Yes, I have felt the same. Love for children. This, when you watch this, you see and you confirm like, okay, I'm doing this for a reason, and one of the reasons is I love children. Very happy at the end. Yes, we can see that, after the teacher realized, the gift that children, a dual language learner, is bringing to the classroom, we need just to embrace it and help them. And upset, emotional, yes, I felt the same, because this video connects to my reality, my 2 kids at home and many other kids outside. And amazed how small supports can make the difference. And relief, yes, seeing that teacher, understanding what else she can do, where this child, where Valentina is coming from, what else she can do to support her.
Mhm.
And Maggie,
Sí,
más
responses
consciente.
and- sí. Yeah.
Anything else, Maggie, that you would like to add?
No, I just was saying thank you for responding here in Spanish, that, respond in your language. We want to hear that too. So
Yeah.
many emotions.
Yes, let me just say, I saw community. I think that one is an important one. And with this, what we want just to lift up is we need to include culture and first language in our classrooms if we really want to support dual language learners, because in that way, we're going to create a great environment for dual language learners to thrive and learn, because we want them to be successful, right? So we can do it and they can do it.
Thank you, Diana. So we're going to go back thinking about this gift. As Diana shared earlier, we are trying to create a warm and welcoming place where children can take risks. They can build friendships, but we also really know that there's science around the benefits of bilingualism, that people who are fully bilingual, there are true benefits. And Diana's going to talk to us about those. And what does that gift mean? Where can it take children?
Yes, Maggie, thank you. So already we know, who are the dual language learners, right? Why we're doing this, the science, not because we just want it, is because there's a huge and a big and a powerful reason. But now we're going to talk about the benefits of being bilingual, and I can tell you many things. I can start talking about that. But now we're going to mention a few of them. So the first one is enhanced executive function. Where we're talking about executive function, what that is basically the set of mental skills like memory, flexible thinking, and self-control. So we see that in bilingual people. Also, there is more cognitive flexibility. But what cognitive flexibility is, is all about your brain's ability to adapt to something new, something that, you weren't expected, a change. And also we can see more robust problem solving. Lower rate of Alzheimer. And let me tell you here is when we say that is because studies have shown that if you know more than 2 languages, and if you have the risk of Alzheimer, sorry, my camera is crazy. Alzheimer, if you are bilingual, you might experience a delay in the onset of the symptoms. And I'm thinking that's a great thing. And the last but not the least, economic benefits. We know, in a resume, you are bilingual or you speak another language, that's going to be a plus. That's going to be a benefit. So, yes.
Yeah. Thank you, Diana. That yes, children think, we're thinking about navigating in 2 different languages, having to say, okay, I'm in this place, I'm with these people, what language am I going to use? What word's going to be most effective? So those are those connections to that cognitive flexibility, to the problem solving, constantly having to do that and building those pathways in your mind. Awesome. So we're going to go from here. We've talked about why, why do we need to support dual language learners in unique ways? Why does their first language matter? And now we're going to talk some about how. I know people said, I want to know strategies, I want to know practices, I want to know next steps. And our course is organized in an ecosystem. So there are elements of the ecosystem that we say that in order for dual language learners to really grow and thrive, they need certain things. We can go here to the next slide and talk about that first. If you think about an ecosystem like a rainforest or a swamp, the things that we need in that rainforest for the animals and plants to thrive, we need rain, we need sun, the animals need one another. And so when we think about an environment or ecosystem for dual language learners, there's certain elements that are needed. And so this is kind of a fan, and there's going to be a link in the chat to a resource that has this for you to reference later. But the first, having a culturally responsive environment. So when a child comes into that classroom, knowing the culture they come from, knowing the language they speak, taking time to find that out and reflecting that in their classroom with the books we use, with the materials we set up, the pictures we put up, so many different ways to do that. And the course explores many, many ways and highlights teachers doing incredible things. First language connections, and that's where we're really going to focus a lot this afternoon, connecting between their child's first language in English, if you are a bilingual teacher who speaks that language, or if you are a teacher who is monolingual and does not speak their language, how can you still make connections? The third element is a real focus on oral language with additional support. So being a child's conversational partner. We talk a lot about that at the Speech School at the Rollins Center, that we need to have meaningful conversations with children. But in order to do that with children who are developing in 2 or more languages, we have to add supports. We need to be using their first language, or maybe we need to be using props. We need to be using gestures, visuals. So there's a variety of supports to support conversations. Anchored all in this fourth element around a book. So if we think about how can we organize our plans for the day and make meaningful connections. So maybe we're reading a book, and we're in that book, there's certain focus words we want to use while we're reading that book, but also throughout the day. That we don't want that experience to just live in story time. We want the content to come alive in dramatic play and transitions and outdoor play, in arrival, in the songs we sing. We want to send ideas home to families so they can extend the learning. This fifth element, observation, progress monitoring, and fair assessment. In order to know children, we have to observe them. We have to watch them at work, watch them at play, watch how they interact, how they use English language, how they use their first language. And so in the course, you are able to find out there's a whole lesson on this element of observation and progress monitoring and fair assessment. If we only know what they can do in English, we're not seeing the whole picture of what that child can do. And finally, strong partnerships with families. The families are essential. They know about their child. They're the expert, their first teacher. So how do we leverage that partnership and really depend on one another as families and educators and leaders, and all in support of the child? So this is the way the course is organized around each of these ecosystem elements. And we're really going to focus a lot today on the first language connection, the second one. And before we do that, I just want to go back and say that one slide back, that dual language learners are diverse. So if you in your mind, you can even do this now, drop in the chat a name of a dual language learner you know. So just take a minute. If you know a dual language learner, you teach them, you parent them, you're their aunt, go ahead and drop that name in the chat. Who are you thinking of when you think of a dual language learner? I'll drop mine. Names.
Anita, Sam.
Mm-hmm.
My class right now. I mean,
Olympia,
it's
see?
my classroom, yeah.
And so
Jenny.
children of our research participants, Sabi, Oliver. So these are names that reflect various cultures, various languages. And also, if you have, no matter what language a child speaks, say you have 4 kids who all speak Arabic, they might be at different stages of language development in Arabic and in English. So this is a little visual you see on your screen that children go through stages of language development, and they don't come, you don't just look at them and be like, oh, you're in stage 2, but you are observing, you're noticing and recognizing that children spend different times in these stages. They might jump a stage, but that all dual language learners are not the same. And that's why observation is so key. Maybe at first they're using that first language all the time and hoping it works, and then realizing it doesn't, and stepping back to observe and say, what am I going to do? And then using the skills they have to begin to maybe use telegraphic and formulaic speech, like I like, I want, please, whatever they find works, and then it becomes more fluid. So just keeping that in mind as we watch these coming video examples, that dual language learners are unique in their cultural and their linguistic backgrounds, in their personalities and their family experiences, and also their level of language development. All right, so we're going to keep jumping forward. All right, and so we talked about that ecosystem fan. And I'm going to share, we're going to do a little tour of Cox Campus, how it's organized, and then we're going to hear from you. So on our Cox Campus, you see here, there are 2 courses. Deanna shared this: supporting dual language learners right from the start, and then connecting the dots for dual language learners throughout the day, throughout the preschool day. These are both in our preschool pre-K track. And the first is kind of that background, that the why, best practices around these ecosystem elements. And then the second really walks through the day. So it begins, what does morning meeting look like with dual language learners? What does story time look like? What does centers and small groups look like? What do transitions look like? And then in our infant and toddler track, you have dual language learner content integrated. So if we're here, thank you, Ari, for taking us to the website. Here on the Cox Campus, you see the 2 courses. And if you click on the first, supporting dual language learners right from the start, you'll see that you can choose the first thing that comes up are lessons. So if you scroll down, maybe to lesson 4, you see how it says essential ecosystem element, a culturally and linguistically responsive environment. So they're arranged around that ecosystem fan we saw, broken down that way with some introductory lessons. But then what's neat, what I love now on Cox, is if you go back up, you can click over to resources, and every resource that is linked through the lessons are all in one place. So you can go deeper. And then you can also later, you don't have to do it now, but visit the resource library and even search and filter by dual language learners and find more of what you're looking for. So today, if you feel like, oh, there's all these links being dropped and I'm not catching them all, and I wanted that resource, know that you can go back and find all of these in one place if you click on both of the courses and explore those resources. All right. Thank you, Ari. So we are going to talk now about kind of the main thing we wanted to bring to you today, which is why support first language and why make connections between English and first language. So we have this amazing teacher, Hasmin, here, who is bilingual, reading a book, introducing it in Spanish, which she speaks, and these children do too, helping them access this new story, this new experience, so they can later build on it in English. And why do we do that? If you think about an acrobat, that bottom acrobat is that first language, holding up the top acrobat, English. The stronger the first language, the more we use it to support, the more that English is going to develop, the more that children can access math understanding and science and build relationships. And so we want to just keep that center and keep it strong. And so we're going to look at just some video examples from the course. And hopefully we were trying to decide which videos do we choose, and we just chose a few. But no, these are a sample of what you can find on that course. So we'll go to the first one. And here you see that ecosystem. This first language is circled because that's where we're going. All right, so this first video we're going to watch, it's Sadin and Christopher, 2 pre-K friends.
I'm from Honduras. Honduras. So that's, you know why you're from Saudi Arabia? So that's in English, and I'm from Honduras, and so Honduras is in Spanish. So you English, so I'm Spanish because I took Spanish. Arabic. Yeah, so that's why you Saudi Arabia, and I I'm from myself, and you from yourself.
Awesome. So we opened with this just to say in this classroom, Miss Caroline, Miss Hasmin, amazing teachers, they're creating an environment where they're hearing about their cultures and their language, they're seeing themselves, and they even can recognize that in each other and build relationships in this second language for both of them. and that is welcomed, and they're growing together. And so let's go to the second video, which shows Sadin again teaching his teacher, Miss Caroline, about his first language.
Listen to Caroline talk about her experiences learning some words in Arabic from Sadin, who you met earlier in the course.
Speaking another language is just for you to try to practice. Like when he comes in, the first language, the first thing that he taught me, he said, when I walk in Miss Caroline, you tell me Sabahu head. That's in Arabic. Then I asked him, if I say Sabahu head, what are you going to say? He said, I will say Sabahu noon. So I learned that one from him. So every morning when he comes in, I say, Sadin, Sabahu head. Then he will say Sabahu noon. And then when he is leaving, he said, Miss Caroline, that one will be easier for you. When I'm leaving, you say Ba Salama Sadin. So when he's leaving, I always say Ba Salama Sadin. So it made like we have that relationship. And then when he comes in every time, he want to teach me every day a new word.
Sadin must feel very proud to help his teacher Caroline learn new words in his language, and in these moments, they are forging a deeper relationship with each other. Sadin is also enabling Caroline to support other Arabic speakers in her class. Let's watch these two in the middle of an Arabic lesson.
No, when you come in, like in the morning when you come in, I say, what do I say in Arabic?
Good morning.
Yes.
Sabahu
Sabahu head. And then you say Sabah Hunun. Sabah Hunun. Did I pronounce it right?
Yeah.
Sabahu head and Sabah Hunun. Sabahun.
Yeah.
Am I pronouncing?
You said it right.
Okay, Sabahun head.
Sabahu head. Sabahu.
Okay, Sabahu head, Sabahunun.
Yeah, you just said it right in the first place.
I said it right? Oh, I'm so proud.
Awesome. So this is an example of Sadin teaching his teacher, right? Children often teach us much more than we even imagine or expect. And as he shared, we see that he uses a lot of English, but that doesn't make him not a dual language learner. His brain is still developing in 2 or more languages. So keeping that in mind, thinking about Miss Caroline, we want to ask you, what did this teacher do to support dual language learners? And so you can drop your response in the chat or put up your little raise your hand, and we'd love you to come off mute and share. What are you thinking about as you watch these 2 videos?
So apple in Arabic is tapaha.
See.
Yeah.
Yeah, so Zainab, you're sharing, the kids in my class are always saying, we will teach you Arabic and you will teach us English. You're sharing translations and they're excited to teach you. That's wonderful. She's taking time to learn his home language. Absolutely. Yes, Anna. She put herself in the position of learner and allowed the student to teach her. Yes, and that's humbling, but we have to plan for that. It can be easy just to forget to do that, and how powerful. She showed respect for him as a learner, as well as showing him that she was a learner, that she tried to pronounce it, even if we don't get it just right? Even if we kind of fumble along, if we are putting in intention to learn every language. When I was teaching, I had many different languages in my classroom, maybe like 10 or 11 different languages at a time. But I can't learn all those languages, but I can take time to learn a few keywords to think, what is my focus book this week? What theme am I talking about? What words would help me connect to children and build these concepts? Or how can I say hello? How can I say thank you? What words could I use to make those connections? And so really using tools, we have tools like Sharing My Language with You, which Laura will drop in the chat, where you can ask families to write them down. And so, yeah, emotional safety, I'm seeing through the chat, is important to learn.
And because she's honoring his language, she's bringing it to the classroom, and he knows that his language is important.
Mm-hmm. Definitely. Yeah, it goes a long way in making connections. And so, Ari, if I could ask you to just go back a couple slides, I want to go back to the first language, family language and culture survey. Because now's a good time to talk about how do I even know who's in my classroom? What languages do they speak? What culture? Because I need to know, and I need to know the resources I have in family so I can reach back and say, I'd like to know these words. Can you help me learn to pronounce them? Can you write them down phonetically for me? Can you audio record them and text them to me? And so here you see the Family Language Culture Survey, which is available in English and Spanish. And somebody put in the Wordle, where do I start? This is where we encourage you to start. This would be a first step. Find out who is in your classroom and don't make assumptions. Sometimes we often will go into classrooms and see, and we've done this ourselves, where we assume a child maybe that their first language is English, or maybe we assume that their first language is Spanish, and really at home they have a different first language. And by asking, we find out we have many more dual language learners that we need to serve. And we also find out maybe that they have their grandparent living with them who speaks a third language. Yeah. And we find out there's questions on here. Who does the child talk what language with? How much? What ways do you as a family want to support us? What ways do you want your culture to be involved? So it's really a way to build a partnership and to help you as a teacher. So that is on Cox Campus, connected to the first course, and it is in the link here. So that would be a really big first next step before you do anything else. Find out who's in your classroom, and you may be surprised to learn something that you didn't know before.
And because even if they speak Spanish, it doesn't mean they're coming from the same country and the same culture.
Mhm.
It's not also language, it's also culture. So the culture from Mexico and Colombia are different. They have many common things and things that we share, but it doesn't mean it's the same traditions or the same culture. So it's important to know what are they coming from too.
Yeah. I want to respond in the chat to a couple of things. One is that some are saying we have, maybe there's a survey that already goes out connected to Head Start, connected to your district. That's fine if there's a way for you to find out this information, but what we would challenge you is to say, look at the survey. Do I know all this information? Are there parts of this that I want to reach out? Maybe using the paper form as a guided interview or conversation with a family. You could turn it into a Google form and text it out. If your school is collecting it, make sure you're getting that information and you know it too. And then this part, thank you for sharing this personal experience about how maybe you as a child, if you had a different language other than English as your first language and you were in the United States and you were made to feel embarrassed or disciplined for using your first language. We know that that has happened historically in our country, that it still happens. And that is what we're saying here together. We want to change that children's first language be welcomed in as a gift and never left behind or made to feel like that isn't appropriate at school or needed or okay. All right. So yeah, very common. I'm going to pass it to you, Deanna. We have a couple more videos. We are going to end at 4 and we want to save a few minutes for questions. So we're going to watch a couple more videos.
Here's the next one. That one. So we're going to watch this video and then we're going to talk about what you noticed.
Mm-hmm.
Watch Jessica as she introduces the focus words for owl babies to her preschool DLLs. The children have already listened to the story in Spanish on a different day.
Can you say worried? Can you say worried? Worried, preoccupado. Look how worried she is. Can you show me a worried face? Oh, she's scared. She doesn't know what's gonna happen. Yes, right.
She don't want to go to sleep.
She might not want to go to sleep. I don't know, but she definitely looks worried, preoccupado. You okay, Juliana?
Yes.
Yes? Okay. And the next one is dependent. Dependiente.
Mama!
Yes, you know what that means? You're right, he's holding our hand, you're right. That means...
Is Daddy here?
Right, for his daddy. It might be his daddy or his mommy. That means that he needs mommy and daddy's help, right? Or a teacher's help.
Yeah.
He can't do it by himself, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, so dependent. Can you say dependent?
Yeah.
Good job.
Dependiente.
Yes, good job.
Jessica builds even more bridges as she reads. Let's watch her again.
I want my mommy, said Bill. Oh no, I think they're feeling worried. Preoccupado.
She's scared.
Yes, she's gone.
she is drawing the children's attention to the focus word worried, connecting it with the Spanish word preocupado. I hope you noticed the children's amazing participation and engagement. While connections are great, a message to bilingual teachers out there: keep your reads in each language separate and refrain from simultaneously translating the story to allow children to focus on the language of the read.
So Miss Jessica, she's a wonderful teacher, and in her classroom, most of the students were dual language learners. So now, please, if you want to type in the chat box, what did you notice in that video? What did you see her doing, and how was the way that she support her dual language learners? Right quick and see what we can find. What supports were you able to notice that she was using during the read? Let me see. Okay. She was engaging. Yes, she was, sitting down on the floor with them. Instant responses. She was always extending their responses. She was enthusiastic. She helped them to understand and learn. Yes, she was engaging. She used visuals. Visuals are good for every dual language learners. Those are helpful. Gestures, if you see, she was using her body to communicate with kids. She talked about action and picture. She was connecting, making connections. Yes, that is wonderful. And visuals, she understood that dual language learners need a little bit more. And those are visuals, gestures, and making connections throughout the reads. She used both languages. She was asking to different people how was she pronouncing those specific words. She made such a great job. So now we can go to the next and the last video. And we're going to do the same. Watch it and see what we are going to notice. What supports do you see the teacher use?
With her bilingual teacher, Rosario, who speaks English and Spanish.
O esa es la cortina del trampolín.
Ajá, y bajas todo eso. Aquí es donde tienes que bajar de esta llavita
para poder entrar.
Sí.
Esta es como la entradita. Ok, para ir a brincar al trampolín. Y el trampolín es de princesa.
Ajá.
¿Sí? ¿O no te puedes quedar con él?
No.
¿No? Ok, es rentado. Significa que la persona, hay que llamarla, así, ¿verdad? Y viene, te trae el trampolín y le pagas dinero.
Ajá.
¿O es de gratis? ¿Hay que pagar?
Un poco caro.
¿Es un poco caro?
Luna is a much more competent conversational partner in Spanish, her first language. She talks about her drawing of a trampoline and her big plans to rent one for her birthday. She goes into lots of detail about the rental process and even shares that trampolines are very expensive to rent. Depending on where they are in their language development, DLLs may present very different pictures in each of the languages they speak.
Thank you, Ari. So now you see Ms. Rosario is a wonderful teacher too. She's bilingual. And what did you notice Ms. Rosario was doing to support Luna? You can type it right quick in the chat. Yeah, she was extending those conversations in her first language. Thank you, Maggie. Luna, by that time, was 4. She was in pre-K. She was repeating, yes. Rosario was repeating and she was extending Luna's responses. She was accommodating, open-ended conversation. Yes, she was asking open-ended questions. And Luna was just interacting all the time, teaching new vocabulary. Yes, very friendly. She was engaged. They both were engaging. And I think that's it. Using a lot of expressive language. Yes. But I'm thinking the most important support was she was using her first language. And remember, when there's a good foundation in that first language, the second language is going to come easily.
Yeah, thank you for highlighting that, Deanna, and going back to Jessica's video. She wanted to make connections to the first language, but she's not bilingual. So she set herself up for success by putting up those focus word visuals, and under it, she had written out the word in Spanish and how to pronounce it. And those resources are on Cox too, and we can put them in the chat, an example of the focus word visuals, ways to set yourself up to make connections so that if you're not Miss Rosario and you don't know the first language, you can do it. But if you are a bilingual teacher, we just want to encourage you, use your language to build content, to build relationship, not just to redirect or manage behavior, but to really empower. So awesome. All right, we have just a few minutes. Thank you for all your responses in the chat and for sharing these last few minutes. We want to take time to answer any questions. So if you go to the bottom of your screen, there's two little chat boxes. It says Q&A. You can type in there your questions. Deanna and I will try to respond to a couple, but if you leave a question and we can't respond, your name will be with it, and we have your email for when you register and we can follow up. So we'd be happy to do that. So feel free to just take a minute to drop your questions. We want to thank you just for being here and sharing your experiences and sharing your questions.
And I'm thinking, Maggie, we got only 2 minutes left, so maybe we can move with the closing, and then we can follow up with the questions. What do you think?
Yeah, that sounds great, Dan. Let's do these closing slides, and then know that keep dropping questions so we can collect them and follow up with you. We want to encourage you to just check out the amazing work happening in Marietta here in Georgia, Literacy and Justice for All. And there's a video series where you can watch educators sharing their stories of putting science of reading in action. So check that out on Cox. And then make sure you join us for the upcoming sessions. November 10th, our amazing colleagues are going to be talking about coaching. And so if you are a coach, or you know people who are coaching, or you're interested in coaching in early education, come to that November 10th. All about relationships. And December 1st, consistent routines, rituals, and transitions. And know that also in our DLL course, you can learn about transitions and routines for dual language learners there too. So those are coming up. We look forward to you joining us there. And here, Laura's going to drop a poll. We just want to know how we did today. And we think you did awesome by being here and by sharing your questions and sharing your experiences. And we always want to be improving, because we're learners too. And so please help us out by responding there. And yes, I see some questions about wanting the information. We'll follow up with it. We have your information from registration with how to find these resources, the PowerPoint slides, all of that. And this is recorded and can be found on Cox Campus later on our events page. Gianna, do you have any closing words?
No, thank you for being here today. I know we would like to have like a longer session, but don't forget, go to Cox Campus, open an account, and just dive deep and see what you can find about how to support dual language learners. You will find many good resources.
Yeah, and I'm going to drop our emails in the chat. If you need anything, if you have questions specific about dual language learners, please go to Cox, search for them. But you can certainly also reach out to us. And please go take our courses. We hope you're inspired to go find out more and really not listen to us, but listen to the voices of teachers and kids.
For sure, we're going to follow up with the answers about this. I see 4 or 5 questions. They're so good. So we're going to respond to them. And
yeah. So we'll hang on to these questions. If you need to drop off, we totally understand. I'll quickly hit on a few of these if you're interested in staying. Some are saying they're English, they speak Spanish and they're in one classroom, the other classroom has English, and they switch halfway through the day. That's wonderful to have a balanced bilingual model. Children are getting rich supports in both languages. That's what we want. That's what research says is really best. But when that can't happen, there's other ways to try to offer supports. Najet, I saw your hand go up if you wanted to come off mute. Okay. How can we hire quality DLL teachers for our precious early learners if we don't speak their language? Yeah, finding teachers and equipping them. And I know we even have people on our call encouraging our communities or the colleges near us to have CDA programs and really search out interested members of our community that share the languages with our kids and equipping them to have the tools they need to become teachers. That can be wonderful.
But even if you don't speak the language, you can, learn many things about how to support dual language learners. And
yeah, awesome. And so I see some more questions. Thank you for those. We will respond to you, ask clarifying questions, and share everything we can after the session. All right. Thank you so much for your time, everyone. And
everyone, yeah,
for your work for dual language learners all over the place. Take care.